My name is Tim Hardeman, and something most people don't know about me is I was actually born in Belarus. It's a country in Eastern Europe. And the way that this whole thing played out is obviously right now we're in Atlanta. Love Atlanta, by the way. What a great place. And when I was a little guy, I was maybe 5, 6 years old, my parents, when we lived in Belarus, always had friends come over. One day they're hanging out, having a good time, and there's a newspaper sitting on the table with a contest to win the trip to the States. At the time, this is 1996, right when the Olympics were in Atlanta. My uncle was actually already living here. And so my parents and their friends, they fill out this contest, they send it in, and a few weeks later, a call comes in. My dad picks it up, and it says something like, Claudia won this trip. Claudia is my mom. She won this trip to the States. And she comes over here and starts working. And I mean, she starts cleaning houses and cleaning toilets and babysitting kids, anything to basically make enough money to bring the family over here. And eventually she saved up enough. She came back. She got my dad and me and my sister, my older sister, and she brought all of us to the United States of America, the greatest country on the planet. And I mean that sincerely. Like that, to me, I feel like we get this opportunity to live in a place like this, and it's sad to see when a lot of people squander that and they don't appreciate that. And we come here in 1996. I remember we got an apartment in Roswell off of Holcomb Bridge Road. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, and me and my sister had a room, and we had one mattress that we would sleep on the floor. And my parents had a room, and they would sleep. They didn't even have a mattress. They just slept on the carpet. And so my mom kept working and working, doing all kinds of odd jobs to just try to make ends meet. Eventually, we moved to Johns Creek. My parents split up, both got remarried. We moved to Johns Creek. So I grew up in the Alpharetta, Johns Creek area and became really close with our circle of friends. The guys that I went to school with since 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, we grew up and went to middle school together and high school and played football and lacrosse together. So we spent a lot of time together. It was us hanging out and going to workouts in the morning before school. Then we would go to school and have classes together. And then afterwards we'd go to practice together. So literally the guys that I grew up with, we were very close. And I remember after high school, a few of us went to Georgia Southern together. And a couple other guys went to different schools like Valdosta and Auburn. But we all stayed in touch. We all stayed really close together. And I remember I was down at Georgia Southern, had probably a little bit too much fun down there, joined a fraternity, had a blast, still took school very seriously, got good grades. But it was more so about just meeting as many people as possible, having a lot of fun, going out, and really just enjoying my time in college rather than the school aspect of it. Got in trouble a few times. And after my second year at Georgia Southern, I decided that I would need to change schools, change my environment, and change things up. I leave school, I leave Statesboro, and I take a semester off. During this time, all my friends are still down at school, everyone's having a good time, sending me Snapchats of everyone going out and partying. And I'm dating at this girl at the time who was a couple years older than me. Me and her went to Georgia Southern together. And, it was good, but I was out of that environment. I was out of that college environment. And things started to change a little bit. I was living back home in Atlanta. And I remember me and her, our relationship got a little rocky there. And then I was working at this restaurant, and I was bussing tables and serving tables. And it was just a terrible job. I learned a lot, but it was just a bad environment to be in. And I remember I wasn't making hardly any money. And then our relationship sort of started to fall apart, as I mentioned. And I remember one day I leave that restaurant, I get this job selling office supplies. And our whole job was to door knock. We'd literally go up to 60 different businesses per day, and I'd have to knock on the door and walk in, talk to the receptionist, and try to get past the receptionist to the decision maker that would be in charge of buying or ordering things for the office. And it could be anything from printers to paper to ink and toner, desks, cleaning supplies, coffee makers, anything that you can picture that goes into an office. And I remember my first week on that job, I'm going through training. I'm with these two girls that are teaching me how to do the sales, and we're out to lunch, and my phone keeps ringing. And I always kept my phone in my jacket pocket, and I had it on vibrate. And it keeps ringing and it keeps ringing, and it's my friends calling me one after the other. And usually my friends, they'll call me once and send me a message, and that's it, right? But they keep calling me back to back to back, all of them, like our whole circle. And finally I say, hey, excuse me, I have to step out for a minute. I have to take this call. And I pick up the call, and it was one of my friends, Kurt, that called me. And he said, hey man, did you hear about Tyler? And I go, no, we were with him last night, wanted to go see a movie in Atlanta. And he goes, they found him this morning dead in his apartment. And these were the guys, we grew up together, we played sports together since day one. And that was tough. Again, I'm back, I'm not in school anymore, taking a semester off, relationship's not doing too hot, not making any money. One of my best friends passes away, and I'm kind of, as a young man, I'm just confused about the direction, what I should be doing. And that's a tough place to be, because usually when we're growing up, we're sort of guided by our parents and teachers and coaches, and you sort of have a direction that you progress in. And here I am for the first time, just sort of lost. I didn't know what to do. And so then I get this other job. I wound up selling optics for guns, for handguns and for rifles, any kind of military grade scopes and lasers and night vision, all the stuff that the guys overseas were using, I was basically selling to the public. And that was a tough job too. And so I decided at that point, I said, I need to get back into school. I enrolled at Georgia State, and I transferred my degree. I started doing finance, and my whole thing was, my whole route in my head, even though I feel like most people that even say they know what they want to be doing, they have no idea what they want to be doing, especially being young. You just sort of do whatever sounds good. What friends' parents are successful at, what you see on TV as seen as successful. And I remember I'm in these finance classes, and I wind up, for one reason or another, getting my real estate license while I was still in school. Now it's my senior year at Georgia State. I get my license, and I start working as a real estate agent. Didn't make a whole lot of sales. And I remember first year I was making a whole lot of calls, and I was still door knocking, trying to find business and just trying to get going. And I'll never forget, I started to ramp up a little bit. I closed a few deals here and there, and this young lady calls me that was a new agent, newer than me. And she says, Tim, I heard that you've been doing pretty well and you kicked it off pretty quick, and I'd like to learn how you're getting new clients. So I say, sure, come in, let's make some calls together. And we're in the office. I'll never forget, it was the end of August. We're in the office, this corner office that our broker at the time let me use. I didn't have any money. I was making calls. I was literally sitting on the carpet in the hallway with one of those hand phones, just holding the receiver and dialing. And so she said, you can use this office. So me and this young lady were in this office. We're making calls. Again, my cell phone was on vibrate in my pocket, and it keeps buzzing, just keeps going off. And I pull it out as I'm, trying to get new business, trying to get new listings and new leads. And it's my friends, again, calling one after the other. And I had just this weird feeling like, So I hang up the phone and I step outside of the office and I pick up my cell phone. And it's my friend Louie. And I pick up the phone and he goes, hey man, did you hear? And I was like, it's just this weird feeling came over me. He goes, did you hear about what happened to Justin? And I'm like, this does not sound good. And I go, no, what happened? And he goes, they found him dead this morning in Kentucky. He overdosed. I was like, man, these guys like Justin Miles and Tyler Forster, like, I mean, come from amazing families, you know. Parents are super successful. Tyler and Justin both played sports. Justin played baseball and played football. Tyler played football and lacrosse. Both just stud athletes, good-looking guys, like confident, got everything that they wanted, that they set their minds to, and it's just terrible that happened. And I remember during this time, I'm like still lost in what I'm trying to do with my life. And all these events that sort of happened together, me leaving school, me working these jobs that are not very fulfilling, and obviously things I don't want to do as far as working in a restaurant and doing these door-to-door sales, two of my best friends passing away unexpectedly, this relationship falling apart. And I was trying to figure things out. I was like reaching for something. I was like, I need to find meaning in my own life. And I remember right around that time, I said, I need to do more. I need to become a better person. I need to work on myself. I need to cut out all the nonsense. I need to quit going out, focusing on things that don't serve me, and just work on bettering myself, build my own foundation. And then the business will come. And then when the business comes and everything else is good, just maintain that, continue doing the right things, live from my own core values rather than paying attention to what people are doing on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I remember I even like deleted everything. I went offline for a long time because I was just getting sucked in and comparing my insides to the stuff that people post that most of the time is just fluff, you know? And I started working on myself, reading books, attending seminars, journaling. I started running a lot and working out. And I tried to work on every aspect of my life, everything, you know, business, my personal relationships, my family. I tried to just become a better person overall, better spiritually. And I started to take life more seriously. I started to find like that direction, like what is that North Star that's pulling me to improve? And it was a slow process. I remember thinking real estate's going to get me to where I'm trying to go. Where was I going at the time? I had no idea. I just wanted to be successful. I don't know what that meant. And something that really stuck with me, I remember listening to this book called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the gentleman that started Nike. And he talks about success in the beginning of that book, in the opening section of that book. And he talks about, he thought success as, you know, getting a good job, getting married, starting a family, or that was like society's measure of success. But he really wanted to live his life, to enjoy it to the fullest, to leave no stone unturned, and to just have that feeling throughout life, not just clock in and clock out, go home, and I can't wait to pass the time, but really just enjoy what he was doing. And I took a lot of that away from listening to that. And so I started to define my goals and what I really wanted to look like. And what I arrived to is I said, I want to create a business, one that obviously does well financially. I also want to become financially free so that I could essentially buy my time back. Instead of me trading my time for dollars, I want those dollars to continue making other dollars without necessarily me spending my time doing that. And with that free time, I could focus on things that I really feel like would change the world. And as I started doing that, it's a long road, and I'm still doing it now, but there's a few things that I realized that I really love to do. One is I love to share the journey of this financial freedom because I think it's so powerful, especially when somebody can achieve that, most people say, well, I want to work until I'm 59 and a half or 62 and retire and then enjoy my life and maybe travel, have some kids and do whatever. But I don't want that. I feel like we got to live our lives right now. I don't want to look back in 30 years and say, man, I wish I did. Or what if I could have done that? Or what if I went to this place? I don't want that. I want to live now, like in this moment, and fully enjoy it. And so I put up a post when this happened. I didn't even realize it. When I was just getting out of school a few years after I got out, I set this goal to become a millionaire before the age of 30. And I was like, I don't know how that's going to happen, but I'm going to just put it out there and try to make it happen. And I did, and I was so excited about that. I remember it came out of nowhere too. And then my next goal was to become financially free, and I put that out there, and I did that through buying real estate. And through this journey, the other thing that I learned, one thing that brings me a lot of enjoyment is not just me doing stuff and achieving, goals and success and whatever. The biggest thing that's brought me the most enjoyment is helping young people that were in that stage that I was in when I was lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I needed some guidance, helping them in saying, hey, I know where you're at because I've been there. Like, I went through that and I remember exactly what it felt like. And I wish I had somebody to just say, hey, don't do this. Like, look here, focus on this. You'll go a lot faster. You'll save time by not doing that and doing this. Here's where you really want to aim for, because if you're aiming for this, maybe it's just a false target. Maybe it's not all that it seems to be. And when I've done that while building our team and building our business, when I've done that and I've seen people that I work with understand that and see it and their eyes open to it, and they achieve their goals, that's been, to me, the most fulfilling, the most exciting, the most rewarding thing that I've ever experienced. I mean, it just makes me happy thinking about it. So that's the goal. That's the goal, is to help people create wealth and financial freedom through real estate. And we're doing that every single day, and it's exciting to see that happen with everybody that I'm working with and that's working in our team. And once that happens, and as I'm building my own wealth, it's allowing me, like I mentioned before, to buy back time. And with this time, I can focus on things that I feel like will really change the world. The crazy thing is, I thought about this. I said, well, if I'm 80, 90, 100 years old and I'm looking back and all I did was just sell a bunch of properties, or I got a bunch of, real estate and I made a bunch of money, I became a millionaire, whatever, would I be satisfied with my life? If I'm that old and I'm looking back at, let's say I'm on my deathbed and I'm looking back and I'm sort of analyzing my life and I'm saying, am I happy with what I achieved with the time that I was given here, if I'm even lucky enough to live that long? And when I thought about that, it was a hard question to personally answer, because the answer was no. I was like, man, I'm lost again. I thought I had it all figured out, and maybe what I'm chasing is not all that it's cracked up to be. And so I said, well, what would be that thing that would make me feel fulfilled and like I made a difference, and I really made a footprint, and I helped the world and I helped a lot of people while I was there? What is it, something that I want to be known for, not because of my own ego and the things that I want, but what would make things better, make life better for future generations? And I came up with a couple of things that I'm working on now that I believe will truly change the world. And I can't wait to do that. But I realize in order to climb the mountain, you got to climb one hill to see the next and the next. You can't just, it doesn't just happen overnight. So I'm committed right now to building that wealth, to building that financial freedom, teaching others how to build wealth and financial freedom through real estate. Obviously helping all of our clients buy and sell properties through through building an investment portfolio, through the property management, through all the things that we're doing day to day, I believe that eventually it's going to get us to this goal to really make a massive impact on the world. And I can't wait to share that with the world. It's going to be sick.